The lower income strata voting overwhelmingly for Aam Aadmi Party, and the middle and upper classes voting in favor of BJP. On the turnout also, not the absolute number, but the difference between how the turnout of the lower economic strata and the upper economic strata. So if they more than 70% of lower economic strata come out to vote, and less than 50% of middle class come out to vote, things can be very much in favor of Aam Aadmi Party.
How are you seeing it? I mean, you've also been looking at the income-wise breakup of the voter turnout, or at least the voter preferences. Now, how much of this is likely to translate into voter turnout, and in what proportion, in your sense?
No, we can't predict voter turnout as of now. But if there's a huge difference between turnout of lower economic strata voters and middle and higher income strata, then it is advantage up.
Yashwant, how are you reading the same figures?
Well, I'm glad that Prem's data is also collaborating the same trend that we have been saying for so many weeks, that there is a class-based voting intention that is very much on card between the low income group and middle income group and the high income group. There is one more factor that we have been harping on, is the gender factor, where we have figured out that males are more voting for Kejriwal and Aam Aadmi Party, while in the case of females it is the other way around. I wonder if Prem has also got the similar trend after induction of Kiran Bedi.
Females are voting more for Aam Aadmi Party.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead, Yashwant.
So, going by the numbers which Prem has come up with the last week's survey, I believe that they are pretty interesting and heading for a photo finish kind of scene. The primary data of this week's numbers which we have seen this morning till the survey done for the last late evening yesterday, our data is showing a kind of 43 and 41% kind of vote share, a gap of only 2%, which was heading on. Still the survey is not complete, but I just sneaked a preview of the data which we were looking at till yesterday evening, and which is kind of for me also it's more than a photo finish, because in a bipolar race 2% of a gap, especially keeping in mind this is probably a election after a long time where the first and the second party, both the parties are gaining a momentum and increasing the vote swing as far as the last assembly election is concerned. I don't remember when was the last time that we were looking into this peculiar phenomena. Generally in all the election we have one party on an upswing and another party on a downswing as far as two leading parties are concerned in any election. This is a very unique election where we are looking at an upswing of both the parties, that is the first and the second party, and the downswing of the third party. This is a very
Yashwant,
unique phenomenon where you are getting momentum.
Yashwant, just to contrast figures now, we'll just look at the January 4th week shares again. You have there 45% for BJP, 40%. Now what you're saying as of this morning is it's 43% for BJP and 41% for AAP. Am I right?
Yeah, and Congress around 10%. Okay, that's approximate the data where the field work is halfway through, yeah. I would say, but interesting trend to confirm this morning.
So what's the, okay, let me come back to Prem. Prem, what's the momentum that you're seeing here? I mean, I know your survey is perhaps the most dramatic in as much as you've placed AAP and BJP at the same level. But if you go back, let's say 6 weeks or 8 weeks, are you seeing a clear secular trend in the momentum of the way the opinion or people's outlook has been changing?
Yes, I feel the momentum building in favor of Aam Aadmi Party, but we have not tracked after Modi came into the field.
Okay.
We have not, like yesterday, his speech was, I believe, very good. So what would be the impact of that speech? And he's going to address more rallies. And now BJP is in full force in last 5-6 days. So we have not measured what's going to be the impact of this.
Right. So
but up till now, momentum has been building in favor of Aam Aadmi Party.
Right. Okay. So Yashwant, so since you've done several polls, I mean, January as we stand now. What's your sense? So there is the Modi factor, there's the Modi plus Kiran Bedi factor, and there's the Modi plus Kiran Bedi factor, assuming that there's Modi plus a lot of all senior BJP folks who are now all camping in Delhi.
Let's try to put up all these numbers into perspective of Modi and Kiran Bedi and without Modi and Kiran Bedi kind of situation. In the last 4 months that we have been doing the tracking poll, we have shown in all our polls that while in September, October, Aam Aadmi Party was trailing by 10 to 12% votes across all the surveys from the BJP. By the time December came in, they had actually patched up that lead to just about 1%. So they gained almost about 10% votes in 3 months. That was before Modi, that was before Kiran Bedi. I believe the downslide of the BJP was that hemorrhage was stopped by induction of Kiran Bedi because there was no leadership projected by BJP, and with the projection of Bedi, that vacuum got filled up and BJP score vote kind of got back to the BJP, middle class got back to the BJP, females actually got more to the BJP, and that hemorrhage stopped. Now, once the Kiran Bedi medicine has stopped the hemorrhage, it was up to the factor of Narendra Modi in the last 1 week to increase the gap back to the where it was about 4 months back. Whether it can happen or whether it is too late, that remains to be seen. But what the polls of C4, what the polls of Cicero, or what the polls of C-Voter have been confirming so far, that it is a very tight and very close finish. Our polls have been tracking that there is a slight lead for the BJP. Whether in the last 5 days Modi can take this lead further, or whether Aam Aadmi Party can take this lead shortened and take a lead over the BJP, that remains to be seen. But whatever the margins Premchand Paleti or Dhananjay Joshi or Yashwant Deshmukh have been saying, or C-Voter, C4 and Cicero have been saying, they are pretty much very close margins, starting from 1% to 3-4% kind of thing.
Right.
In a bipolar race where both the parties are gaining momentum every day, these margins are nothing.
Right. So I think the question therefore to ask is, if you were to look at past trends, what can happen really in 3 days or 4 days, assuming the Modi factor or the Modi plus Kiran Bedi factor is out in full force? Prem, do you want to respond to that first?
I think everything will be decided in last 24 hours.
Okay.
So only an exit poll can give the right picture. Pre-polls, I think, maybe could be very off the mark also. So it's very dangerous to predict actually.
Okay. So you're saying
so only an exit poll, I think, will give the picture. And then what happens? So political parties are not known to use all fair methods, So some of them may be using unfair means also.
Right.
So it's very difficult to predict this election.
Okay, Yashwant, so would you feel the same way? On the last mile, things become much more tougher because it's, for all the reasons that Prem just pointed out?
Well, yes, even the polls which had given the BJP the lead, when we were projecting the BJP in the lead, then the last week survey, we had given only 37 or 36 seats to the BJP, And having said that, there are 2 seats where in one seat the INLD candidate is in full force and another seat the BSP candidate in full force. And somehow in these polls, in pre-poll surveys, I have figured out that all the polls are under-reporting the others' vote. I understand this is a bipolar scenario. I understand that Congress is kind of sliced out and it's on a downswing. But there are independent and other candidates who have their pockets of influence, and which is so much underreported that in the Nielsen survey last week, they gave 0% of vote to the others, which is statistically and probabilistically speaking, impossible thing to happen. So what I'm trying to say, that even if 2-3 of such candidates kind of pull back and put up a good show, then these numbers can dramatically change and come to a scenario where Aam Aadmi Party and BJP both land up between 30 to 35 seats, as Prem is saying. And Congress, even with the 6-7 seats, could be the deciding factor, or the couple of the independent others who are in a very good fight, one from the INLD, another from the BSP, and another third independent, they could be the deciding factor. So this is just heading for a tight photo finish. It's the last over of the T20 match, as we have been saying all along. And this is going to go down to the last ball.
Right. Pick up three other questions and we'll come back to the key point, of course, in a short while, which is both the C4 and the C-Voter polls and their findings. The first question is, have people forgiven Kejriwal? Let's look at, let's try and understand this question or pose this question from what the polls are saying. Prem, what's your sense? By looking at your own C4 poll and the work that you've done, are you getting a clear sense that, if nothing else, Kejriwal has been forgiven?
Yes, if you compare with the Lok Sabha results where they were leading in only 10 seats, now if we are going up beyond 30, so large number of voters have forgiven them. That's what I understand. And in our survey also, in one question we asked them. So around 68% said the government did. So I think a large number of voters have forgiven Kejriwal for quitting the government in 49 days.
Right, Prem, and also in your survey, corruption is still the highest, highest ranked issue, right? 23% of people place corruption at the highest. So is that
corruption and inflation both go together? So yeah. that figures are only, we asked them to rank all the problems, and this is the percentage of respondents who said it is ranked number 1. Right. So, but overall, they go neck and neck. Corruption and inflation, they are very close.
Very. And both are obviously something that Kejriwal is seen to be solving or resolving. The next question is, will the rich and poor of Delhi alike vote alike? And that's something that we Prem touched upon in the beginning as well. Yashwant, can you sum up for us what the original, what your original surveys had said on this issue?
Well, on the rating of Arvind Kejriwal's performance of 49 days government, for the last 1 year, every survey, including C-Voter, all the C-polls have reported that people were by and large happy and satisfied with the performance of that government or the governance. What they were absolutely unhappy was about the issue of the way, unceremonious way that Arvind Kejriwal quit the government. And also there was a conflict in the middle class voter where Arvind Kejriwal went all the way to contest against the Modi, while the middle class momentum during the Lok Sabha election was absolutely in favor of Modi. So somehow that conflict of interest of the middle class was very much evident, and that is even evident today because BJP's vote share is still coming largely from the same middle class vote bank which gave vote to Aam Aadmi Party a year back. But Aam Aadmi Party has more than compensated that loss by the middle class vote and the Dalit vote and the minority votes which are swinging from the Congress to Aam Aadmi Party. So this is becoming a bipolar, intensely bipolar, and even the smallest of the swings, everybody is trying to calculate and include that. This is precisely the reason that today's content of the BJP advertisement of mentioning the Gotra, and all of a sudden Arvind Kejriwal mentioning it dishonor against the entire Agrawal Samaj. Now, this precisely is the kind of middle class vote which Arvind Kejriwal is realizing that, okay, I have got the lower income group in my kitty, I have got Dalits in my kitty, I have got minorities in my kitty, and if I can get even a little bit of the Bania votes or the Agrawal votes in my favor, that could be decisive. And BJP is also realizing that. That is why they had put up somebody like Piyush Goyal coming from a Bania community to attack against those allegations. So this is going to be very interesting going down the wire now. Basically, everybody understands it's a photo finish, and even the slightest of the race swing is going to factor. But as Prem said, the relative turnout is going to be critical and crucial. The volunteers of Aam Aadmi Party have been doing a wonderful job on the ground, but you can never underestimate the cadre power of the RSS and the BJP, which have been defining factor in the last Lok Sabha elections. Whether or not they come up big time out in the open, that remains to be seen. There is a silence factor. There is a spiral of silence. As far as the Congress supporter is concerned, they are extremely silent. But it doesn't mean that that they are not going to come out to vote for. But will the Congress face the meltdown of 4-5%, or will they go around 9-10% or 12%? That remains to be seen. If the Congress goes for a meltdown, then that vote is going to go for Aam Aadmi Party will win this race in the deciding over. But if Congress polls well around 10-12%, then BJP might call it a shot. And eventually, with these 4 days of campaigning by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, how much damage control and how much lead that can generate for the BJP, that remains to be seen.
Okay, so just to sort of again revisit the last question in this train of thought, which is what is our learning from previous income-based polls? And Prem, you too said that the division between the way different income classes are voting. Do you can you sort of give us a historical perspective on this? I mean, maybe you've seen it in other elections. Maybe you've seen how people vote differently or have voted differently because of the kind of economic class they belong to.
Very few. I don't remember any election where the class divide is so obvious. And in the election, I don't remember actually any election. So caste-based happened. In India was known for caste-based voting. Maybe this would be the first election where class-based voting will be there. And I agree with Yashwant. The Muslims, Dalits, and the lower income strata voters who are traditionally with Congress have migrated en masse to Aam Aadmi Party, and Aam Aadmi Party is gaining because of this.
Right. So here's a question that we've got. I mean, there are several actually, but most of them are in the nature of comments. Yashwant, this is for you. When is your next Delhi election opinion poll coming? I mean, that's something I wanted to check too. So today is the first, and you've got about roughly 4 days to do one, right?
Yeah, there is one more to come, I guess, and I have told you exclusively on this show. the halfway through mark which I have got is still 50% of the field work done, but still it is an important number to look into it and understand how keen and how it is. But I still believe that that one factor of the relative turnout that Prem has said, and another factor is of the female voters. 15 years back, it was the female voters on the issue of the onion prices that had kicked out the BJP from power. And now after 15 years, if the BJP at all makes comebacks to power in Delhi, it will be largely because of the, but if not, then it will be largely because of the consolidation of the low income group, lower strata and the minority, which will ensure that BJP will not be easy, which will not be comfortable in Delhi. But if there are few independents and few smaller parties coming into picture, then we might be revisiting what we had seen in December 2013.
Right. So, Yashwant, quick one. You're saying female voters could play a decisive role. Is that female voter with the Kiran Bedi trigger, right? Because I think our polls are showing that clearly Kiran Bedi scores when it comes to female voters, right? So I'm just wondering what it could have been.
And the issues also, Govind, Prem was absolutely correct about the corruption and the inflation, almost to lead issues at large. But among the female voters, the question of female safety is the most important issue, and that is something which might be coming to picture as far as Kiran Bedi's image is concerned. So having said that, it's gonna be one of the most critical photo finish elections that we have seen in recent past. I don't remember anything of this sort that in electoral history.
Right. So Prem, your sense of the role of the woman voter, and if you were to look back now, this election versus other elections, I know you did point out that income is likely to play an income classification is likely to play a greater role, but any other stark differences that you notice? And finally, are you going to be doing any other polls or are you conducting any polls before the elections?
Tracking survey, and today I'm analyzing this data. It has reached me, so I will be giving the report within few hours to Hindustan Times.
Okay.
But we have done a tracking survey.
Okay.
And yes, electricity and water.
Or if by looking at past trends, does it look like it will still be a marginal shift, if at all?
Well, I wonder if it is too late for the BJP to having an impact. I mean, that's the big question. Bleeding that they have the hemorrhage that they have stopped, I understand well that the data is showing, not only ours, but all the survey data are showing that. And Aam Aadmi Party is or might be going ahead on couple of the polls or couple of the tracking numbers. That is also very much a secular trend which is coming across all the polls and all the studies. But the last 4 days, is it too late or is it the right time? That can be that only the final. And I'm sure that this election is going to be cited in the studies of electoral history quite a lot. How this demographic of this city is changing, how the campaign strategy is changing, how the social media is playing a role, and among all these things, whether a kind of a T20 over impact or going down to the last ball having an impact, whether that kind of analogy is going to work, or whether it is a plain old equation and plain old traditional parameters into play. That remains. But as Prem is saying, and even I concur to that these elections are very different. Nothing of the sort that we have witnessed in the Indian election history so far. And this is an amazing experience to watch them do the tracking things, do the exit poll, analyze the final results, and see how the Indian elections are shaping up in the years to come. This is the precursor to that.
Right, and the question that we started asking is that will this head for a hung assembly? And obviously, all the answers so far, and we are still waiting for Prem's survey. Though I'm not getting a sense that things could be dramatically different, but though we will know tomorrow, and we'll of course congregate again on Thursday at 4 p.m. Just a little ahead of the actual election day. So it's been a great time tracking this so far. Thank you folks for participating and sending in your questions. Thank you Yashwant and Prem. We're going to be back on Thursday 4 p.m. as we ask that question once again, where is Delhi really headed? Thanks for watching.